from the very beginning with George Washington and so forth. We have always honored the Jewish people. And
when did that change, Jerry?
Well,
with what president?
It began to change in the 90s. That's when America really began to push land for peace. And God says not to divide up the land. We're not,
That's in Joel.
Yes.
I think we can show that scripture on the screen, that reference. I think it's, I have it in the notes here somewhere. It'll be on the screen. But anyway, it tells many, many times in Scripture not to divide the land. And this land was given originally to Abraham.
Yes.
And Abraham was told that would be the land of his people, the Israelis. And for some reason, well, we know the reasons, it was given to, or called Palestine by the Philistines. Part of it was.
Palestine.
Right.
That was
and that was supposed to be sort of a downgraded slam against
Yes, it was.
Israel.
Yes. If you will talk to someone there and you mention Palestine, that's not a good thing to say.
Right.
That's a bad term, to do that. And the name was there to bring. It was to slander the Jewish people.
Right.
And so if you study the history back then, you'll see that the purpose of Palestine was to do that. But our country, like I said from the beginning, there were two Jewish brokers that helped us survive after when our founding fathers were beginning in the Revolutionary War.
That's interesting.
We had to call upon a Jewish broker. Haim Solomon, it was his name. The United States honored him with a stamp to get us out of the debt that we were in. After the Civil War, there's another a Jewish American broker that helps us again get the country back on par, and he even bought $2 million worth of uniforms for the soldiers.
No, no one really knows about that, do they?
No, not until you study history there and understand how we have always blessed the Jewish people. Abraham Lincoln. If you read about these presidents, you'll find that they have blessed the stock of Abraham, as they would call it back then. Harry Truman, remember, will be the first president to honor the nation of Israel by creating the state and pushing for the state. Even though he had opposition, to do that, he was against doing that. But he, in his better judgment, did not, do that. He had some counselors. He had a very good friend that he went into business with after World War I. If you read about this, and he was a Jewish man, and he said he was the best businessman he knew, and Harry Truman worked for him. And then they became very good friends. And then in the White House in 1948, when they were petitioning the UN to have the country of Israel,
established,
and so forth. Then this Jewish man that Harry Truman knew went to him and said, "You need to see the Israeli ambassador," because the State Department was pressuring him not to do that. And so in a private meeting, they go in there, and these two Jewish men, explain to him from the Scriptures, why the nation of Israel should be established, and Harry Truman goes on to do that. So many of our presidents have supported Israel and not distressed her, but helped her. President Nixon.
Yes, that's a good story.
Yeah. In 1973, I believe, when the Yom Kippur War was going on there, Israel was in dire straits, needing help militarily to get them through. And so Golda Meir, at 3 o'clock in the morning, calls him and says, "Mr. President, we need help." Now, what's interesting about that, the president said that when he was a little boy, his mother would read to him the Old Testament scriptures. And then she prophesied to him, said, "One day you're going to be able to help the Jewish people." She didn't know how, but she said, just imagine this, as a little boy reading the Old Testament scriptures to your son and then saying, "One day you're going to be in a position to help the Jewish people." Isn't that amazing?
And he did.
And he did, because Golda Meir calls him at 3 o'clock in the morning and said, "Mr. President, we need some help." And he remembered what his mother said. just touches my heart there.
Yes, it is wonderful.
And he goes on and gives her everything she needs. And he blessed Israel. He didn't, Israel called on America, and he helped right then. And we've always supported Israel, but recently we began to change that in the leadership.
This is a good time before we go into the present day leadership to show a map of how tiny is the country of Israel really is, and it's just the size of New Jersey.
Can you find it on that map there?
We
Look
have
carefully.
We have to look for the arrow because it says Israel over on the corner there, and it's not that whole darkened area that the word Israel is on. It's that little tiny, if you look at the arrow, that little tiny sliver that's a lighter color, and that's all there is. I think you had done research and said it's about the same size as the state of New Jersey.
It's about the same size of New Jersey there. Very, very, very small there. But if you look at the map there, look how large all the other countries look around it.
And these are all Arab countries and Palestinians, actually. That's what they are in a sense, if you want to stretch the point.
But isn't it amazing, as you look at on the map there, that little tiny country of Israel there, that little sliver, that all the nations
are focusing on
it. It's like the world it's the center of attention there, where we're always talking about that. And to me, that's supernatural.
Yes.
That this little small country, we're always focusing on Israel. You hear it in the news. Even if you're not very religious or read the Bible, you know about and you hear about all the problems that they're having in Israel. And I think that's supernatural to think about.
What do you think the future holds? First of all, we're going to go back to the weather. And then, maybe we should stay on Israel for a couple of minutes. What do you think the future holds for Israel?
Well, Israel, in the end, you read in the end, it's going to be blessed by God. God has made some promises in the prophetic scriptures about Israel and where they're headed. Now, they've got to go through some difficulties ahead, but in the end, they will be blessed.
Victorious.
Victorious nation there. And the Bible tells us at the very end of days, they're going in the kingdom, the millennial kingdom, that will be the capital of the world. All the nations will flow into Israel. We'll have to go up once a year to what's known as the Feast of Tabernacles. And if we don't, even at that time, God says He's going to withhold the rain from those nations that do not go up to worship. And so He's still using, even in the millennial kingdom there, His created natural signs.